Oh, yes. Smart. You're so smart.
But will you be able to hear me?
I can hear you in the earphones.
Can people, what is going on? You are watching and listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast. I'm your host, Steve V. This is episode 259, alongside my co-host, one of my BFFs, Kodi Maurice Doggette. How you doing?
Hello, darling. I'm doing well, thank you. It's so good to see you today.
Great to see you. I'm still in LA right now. We are actually Instagram living this right now. I hope people can hear me. I had to turn my sound down. Do you think people can hear us out there?
I hope so. I really hope so. Can you guys hear us? I mean, we're getting technologically advanced here. I don't know if
hopefully, yeah, you can hear this over there on Instagram Live. And if you want to come over to our live show, we're going to give you our first segment on Instagram Live tonight. So, Kodi, let's just get right into it. We've got so many hot topics to get into. We've got a lot to talk about this week. Did you know, Kodi, that Manhattan, where I live, currently in LA, but Manhattan is set to stop prosecuting prostitution, and it's part of a nationwide shift. So I'm happy to make my Manhattan my home right now because the Manhattan District Attorney's Office announced Wednesday that it would no longer prosecute prostitution and unlicensed massage, putting the weight of one of the most high-profile law enforcement offices in the U.S. behind the growing movement to change the criminal justice system's approach to sex. So they revealed this new policy, and it's the one part that really spoke to me that I really thought is all of the masseurs out there that get lumped into this. And I love a good massage by Massage M for M and so on and so forth. And so I was so happy to hear this. And it's just high time. And, and for those of you that know Manhattan, Giuliani and others tried to clean it up for so long. And it's just time, I think, that they get rid of this age-old custom of prostitution. I mean, what were your thoughts when you first heard about this?
Well, my first thought was that it's finally time because it's the oldest profession. So I don't know why we are criminalizing it. So, let them be. It's legal in certain parts of the states. And also, I read in that article that you sent me that it's also called a walking, let me see if I can find it, trans girl walking law as well. So it's going to benefit our trans sisters as well.
And you know how much we really need that. That's the ones that probably get the most held up in this. I don't think that people were actually coming after our rent men boys that much, I don't believe, but it just gives them that much more breathing room. But they probably were coming after our trans brothers and sisters more. And I didn't understand that until you read that, but that makes sense. Walking trans. So in other words, they wouldn't, if they were in Manhattan, a trans, let's just say a woman, if she was on the street walking and soliciting, she couldn't get prosecuted, correct?
Exactly. That's exactly what it means. And it's a great first step, of course, but of course the next step and the even more societal thing that we need to have happen is shifting of perspective as far as trans people in general are concerned, because our trans brothers and sisters should not think that prostitution is their only option, because hopefully it's not.
SF Anthony says women should have agency over their bodies, prostitution included, men too. I love that, SF Anthony. Yeah, absolutely. And the brilliant thing about all this is that it's not just Manhattan. I was reading Philadelphia and other states across the country are also enacting this as well. And it's high tide. Change is coming with all this. And I think I'm here for it. How about you? Same?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. Again, we are doing part of our tags live on Instagram Live today for you all, the first segment of it at least. And afterwards, you can join us because we're live on our Get Vocal platform. So join the conversation. Also in news, and I trust, Kodi, that you'll monitor some of the comments that we get there.
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and another story. This is such a heartwarming story. Neighbors help a gay man paint his home in rainbows after he gets homophobic abuse. So there's a gay man in Australia. He's been overwhelmed by the amount of support he received to help paint his house in rainbow colors. The local community stepped up after a small number of neighbors objected to the plan and threatened him with violence. So Mickey O'Halloran, I think I'm saying his name right. Mickey O'Halloran, 29, a hair artist who specializes in coloring hair, often in bright colors and rainbow designs. He runs a business called Unicorn Mains by Mickey. Well, in February, he moved from Melbourne to a new bungalow home on nearby Phillip Island. And he was overjoyed to buy this new home, right? So with his brightly colored hair, they write, he became known in this neighborhood. Well, when news emerged that he wanted to paint rainbows all over his new property, not everyone was happy. And in fact, last month, a small number of men confronted him about the idea. At first, they argued it would devalue local homes, but it soon became more personal. Quote, I've had 5 men aggressively banging on my front door, he said on Facebook. One threatened to kill me if I paint my house rainbow and calling me homophobic. On and on, as you can imagine. Well, later, he decided to paint his house anyway. And wouldn't you know it, the community came out and joined him to help paint his house rainbow colors. He even got Dulux, a paint company, to provide 42 liters of paint to help them.
What?
They had
That's
a barbecue.
Awesome.
They had a barbecue on the day. It was a true day of community and coming together. The pictures of it are so awesome on Facebook. When you heard this story, Kodi, what were your thoughts?
It just made me feel so good. It's so heartwarming. I needed this story today. It's really amazing to see the sense of community and the coming together to combat blatant homophobia. And who cares what color they paint their house, right? At the end of the day, it's not your house. You don't have to live in it. So who really cares? It just warmed my heart to hear this story because the only way to really overcome such blatant hatred is through coming together and closing ranks with love. So, yeah.
Somebody said paint it gayer. Absolutely. I love that. You know, it reminded me because I just started watching this show on Amazon Prime called
Oh my God, I was going to bring this up. Them,
right? Yes. Set in the 1950s.
Yes.
A black family moves into, of all places, what's the city here in LA that they moved to?
Compton.
That's Compton. Thank you.
Yeah.
In the 50s, y'all. So it's at that time it was totally white.
All white.
And this family moves into with their beautiful family.
Oh
and
aren't they gorgeous?
All of the 50s women led by this one horrible woman who's just out to get them is all about it's going to devalue our property. And it reminds me, it's so funny that was the storyline in the 1950s shown on a TV show right now, Them, that is parlaying to 2021 about a gay man choosing to paint his house, and somebody actually said it's going to devalue the property. So it's the parallels could not. I love that show, by the way. Them.
Yeah,
and
me too.
Yeah,
it's like we're moving forward, but we're in some places and we're not moving forward in other places. So the parallels are, so when I read this story, you should see my notes, because I was just like, it just reminds me of the scene in Them when they all went to the front door and they're like, you need to leave. And I was like, it's really scary too. Did you watch the whole thing?
I'm midway through. I just started last
Okay.
night, so I'm so into it though. It's so good.
Yeah.
And someone asked, "Have you seen Pose?" Yes, and we're awaiting season 2.
May 5th.
Yeah. All right.
I cannot wait.
Our last topic in our first segment here on Instagram Live has to do with Burning Man. How many of you guys been to Burning Man? You know, it gets a huge LGBTQ population every year. Last year, obviously, it was canceled. This year, Burning Man Festival organizers have said that they are considering requiring attendees to prove they have been vaccinated for COVID-19 if the organizers move forward with plans to hold this year's counterculture festival in the Nevada desert. So, you know, they're still actually deciding if they're going to do it or not. The organizers backed off an earlier statement indicating that they had already decided to make the shots mandatory. They say they won't decide for sure until the end of the month whether the event that was canceled last year because of the pandemic will take place this summer. So essentially, the story is that if they had decided to, one of the CEOs, Marianne Goodall, said in a video that they would require everyone to be vaccinated, and that she got a lot of backlash because the fact that not everybody, you know, they get such a pooling from an international audience, and not everyone, if you're in remote parts of the world or actually just in Europe and so forth, have access currently to the vaccine. So she had to walk it back and said they're still in talks right now and it's still up in the air. But it did get me thinking, Kodi, that with talks of a vaccinated passport, in other words, where we would show a passport showing that we're vaccinated, I'm actually all for it, because I've never felt a year where I felt more American to do my part to, you know, get vaccinated. But there's so many anti-vaxxers out there right now. People feel like their rights are being taken away. I actually want to be able to travel at some point again and want to continue some semblance of life prior to the pandemic, and I'm all for it. So what are your thoughts though on having everyone have a passport that would show, or having to prove, if say you were to go to an LGBTQ event or any event for that matter?
So I see both sides of the argument here, but at the end of the day, I have to say that I agree more with the passport, like having the passport and making sure that people are getting vaccinated, because it's a great idea to stop the spread of COVID, and it would entice people to get vaccinated if you have to show this passport in order to travel. When I was actually on the phone with my family right after we chatted earlier, and I told them what the story was about, and my aunt said that when you send your child to school, you have to show proof that they are vaccinated before they can go to school. So how is it any different than that? And then she sent me an article where in 2019 in Samoa, there was an outbreak of measles and 83 people died because of the lack of vaccinations there.
Lack of vaccinations.
Exactly. The vaccinations waned in Samoa, so 83 people died.
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
and speaking to somebody says, I got the vaccine because I'm a teacher and want to protect everyone. So to your point about teachers, somebody says public health takes priority. I totally agree with that. I agree with the vaccine, but interesting for a counterculture community of nonconformists to mandate a medical procedure.
So he's saying LGBTQ people. It's interesting that we as LGBTQ people are advocating for the vaccine, I think is what he's trying to say. Right, Kevin?
Let us know, Kevin, on that one. And yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's such an interesting.
No. Well, clarify, Kevin.
Clever, Kevin, because we got to move on and we want everyone to
Gotta
move
go.
on to our next topic. And it's going to be on Get Vocal. So we're going to shut this down in a minute. But you
Yeah.
can come to us over at getvocal.com
Oh,
/channel/tags live.
he's talking about Burning Man being nonconformist and them conforming to adhering to vaccinations. That's what he's talking about.
Got it. All right, guys, on Instagram Live, we hope you come over to continue the show because we still got 2 more segments, and it's on my Instagram story, Tags Podcast Instagram story. If you swipe to the story before this one, you'll see that over to our Get Vocal platform for the rest of the show. Thanks, guys, for playing on that, and we'll move on, right?
See you soon, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So much fun.
Oh, Instagram. And now I see a picture of somebody's butt on my Instagram. That's awesome.
Oh, wow. Wow.
You want me to send it to you? I think I'm going to just keep it up there.
Please do. Yes. All right. Well, now it's time for the segment that we've started since we started the show, and it's called Vulnerable Voices. And since we started the show, just what it says, going a little bit deeper about our vulnerability as LGBTQ. And this week was heavily charged, no doubt, by yesterday's verdict of the Derek Chauvin verdict. And for so many of us, it was a sigh of relief. At least that's what I felt. A sigh of relief for all 3 counts against Derek Chauvin to be 3 counts convicted of, and against George Floyd. And for me, I have to say, in some ways, it was a turning point, Kodi.
Mm-hmm.
I thought yesterday, when you talk about turning point or in historical, like a pivotal moment, I feel like this was a major turning point in history. And the other thing was I had a glimmer of hope.
Yes.
Hope.
I agree with you.
Not that everything is going to be okay now. Not because, okay, let's wipe our hands and everything is good now. But it signified a glimmer of hope. Mind you, a 16-year-old girl was shot by police in Ohio the day of. Mind you, Dante Wright, during the trial, was shot not by a taser gun like the police officer thought she was pulling out and screaming out loud about taser, and shot Dante Wright to death during the trial of Derek Chauvin. So I say with trepidation, with hope, that I think there's a glimmer of change. And lastly, I think it's, you might question, you might ask, why are we talking about this on a podcast about gay sexuality? Well, you know why? Because it affects all of our humanity and our community at large. We could go into greater detail about the incredible hate crimes that are going on within our LGBTQ world right now.
That's right.
Not always by the police. Oftentimes our trans brothers and sisters are getting it from the police, or not getting the help that they need. So when it's one of our brothers or sisters, it is all of our brothers and sisters, and it affects ultimately our sexuality on a deeper level. And the more conversations we can have about this stuff, when a pivotal moment like yesterday happened, it would be remorseful if we didn't even talk about this at
Right.
all. And we by no means have all the answers at all. But
Oh my goodness.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Kodi, what were your thoughts? And especially, Kodi, as you know, not everyone knows this, but Kodi stated this before, mixed race.
Yes.
Half of your race is Black. So,
Yes.
you know, I'm a brown boy, but I have to know that this, I would assume, meant something to you yesterday.
For sure. And thank you, Steve, so much for bringing this to this platform. When you said that we were going to talk about this today, my heart just filled up. So, and you just talking about it right now, I wanted to go get the Bible and start. Thought I was listening to a sermon. I was like, yes, yes, yes. But I basically held my breath when they said that the verdict was pending, when it was going to come out, because too many times in the past several years, when police officers have been up for trial for killing Black and brown people, they've gotten off. Justice was not served. So even though I know that he should have went to jail yesterday, I was still unsure. There was a big question mark of whether or not justice was actually going to be served.
Yeah,
So
5%, just to jump in here real quick,
go ahead.
5% of police officers charged with murder have been convicted. So
Yeah.
that speaks to your point.
Yeah. So this this trial has been, and this case has been so heavily utilized for Black Lives Matter and things of that nature. So if this one did not, if he did not get convicted for this, it would have meant that the justice system was failing us as Black and brown people in the United States today. So it meant so much to see that justice was served yesterday.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I felt it was so important as a non-Black person, but a
Mhm.
brown person. I
Okay.
kept my eye on this trial so much because I think it it's so important and it's a pivotal moment and we cannot hide in the sand. But this also has like a personal
It totally
effect on
does.
you in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And
Well,
I think what people don't always understand, like when, yes, we're a show on gay sexuality, but we have family, we have friends, we come from communities. You're mixed race. I'm a brown. I have stories myself. We were talking offline. You have a personal story
I
that
do.
relates. Yeah.
I mean, not only have I had run-ins with law enforcement myself where I was worried about if I'm going to make it out of this situation alive, but I currently have a brother that's incarcerated right now. And I think about what could have happened to him in those situations. And just thinking about him not making it out and like dying. Oh my goodness. I told you I
Okay.
was gonna cry,
Yeah. No, no.
right? Just thinking about him dying in that situation makes me so emotional. And it was for something that for weed that is legal now. Like that's crazy to me that they're legalizing weed and there's so many Black and brown people in jail right now that are incarcerated for weed.
And it reminds me of George Floyd too, of a $20 counterfeit $20 bill too. We
Yeah.
all saw that tape. You know, your brother probably didn't have that tape, and thank God your brother's alive, but your
Amen.
brother's incarcerated. And we all know how weed is like legal in so many parts of the country now.
In New Jersey, they're legalizing it right now. They're getting ready to legalize it in New York now. Like,
You know, I'm just wondering if you could speak to, if at all, when you're a part of it reminds me of when I was going to school, my college
mhm,
mate did so well as a Latino and went to Harvard and became a professor. And he also had his youngest brother incarcerated,
mhm,
being a part of a gang.
mhm.
And the heavy toll that it weighed on the family at large. What can you speak to? Because I think what we've seen placed in front of us, the George Floyd family, I feel like now they can potentially grieve their
Yeah.
loss, but the last year they haven't even had a chance. When you have somebody that is incarcerated and it's for ridiculous reasoning,
Yeah.
what does that do to the whole family? Does it, at least speak a little bit, if you do in mind, in your family?
Oh, no problem. Well, you have to support that, or at least I feel like I have to support that person because you do not want them to fall into despair. So that's something that I would never want for him to like succumb to, is despair while he's in there. I want him to have hope. And thankfully he's such a hopeful, uh, like he's so full of life and joy, and being in there has not crushed his spirit, thankfully. And I just want to continue to support him. So
Thank you so
but
much for
it does take a toll on the family as a whole, because having to put all of that energy into supporting that person when you don't know what situation they're going to run into in there, and what have you. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know
Thank
that's not
you.
an easy thing to
It
share.
really,
And
really is not.
yeah, I mean, I know my friend ultimately wrote a book
Oh, really?
with his brother, and it's conversations with his brother in
Mhm.
jail. And I think people don't always realize what it does to the family.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
I
very
know,
draining on the family, but
yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. That's my brother, and I'm going to continue to support him no matter what because I love him.
I love
So
that. I love that. Any comments we want to read that have come through?
I Dream of Anthony says decriminalize marijuana. Already Biden. He says all of the drugs, decriminalize all of them. And Brown Butter Bear says over 80% of cannabis businesses owners are white people, which is very interesting. Then I
Very,
Dream
actually.
and I Dream of Anthony also says psychedelics should be decriminalized as well, with huge potential for treating mental health issues. So, yeah, I just think that the police force should be revamped altogether. I think there should be more focus on de-escalation and community service and just
Yeah.
outreach in general, instead of they treat it more like a military service right now, and it should not have that mentality in it, because too many people are dying because of that.
Yeah, and when they say defund the police, they don't necessarily mean they mean have new programs with
Yes,
professionals, potentially
exactly.
say professionals in our trans community. We just reported on a minute ago on Manhattan not going to criminalize, correct,
Hmm.
prostitution anymore, and even you were saying street prost- prostitution.
Yep.
And we all know stories of our trans brothers and sisters, or the trans women, if they were on the street, they are also subjecting themselves to hate crimes.
To
And
harm. Yep.
yeah, and we continuously see hate crimes against our LGBTQ community. I mean, I had a slew of them I could have reported on tonight, that in one in Arizona about a couple simply going to dinner and had people off the street yell slurs at them, and initially nobody believed them, and it was just but they were beaten in the face over this kind of thing. Our
What?
guard is up. There's so many of them we could report on, we just don't even have the time.
Yeah.
It's sad that we do have so many stories to report on, but
Yeah.
to your point, more and more, I think that's what defunding the police actually means. It's
Yeah.
in
That is.
implementing new programs that would address our ever-changing world and the hate that is so prevalent right now across the country.
Yeah, I was going to mention that because it's not even really just all about the police. It's about the society that we live in. Like, Black and brown people are portrayed as violent. Like the media is so responsible for a lot of the images that are out there right now. They should really take stock of what is being released and how Black and brown people are being portrayed, because there's so many more facets to everybody actually.
Yeah.
We're full of love, we're full of joy, we have sad moments, we have happy moments. Like, we are not just violent criminals, like, and that is mainly what you see out there.
We are not one monolithic group by
Amen.
no
Amen.
means. Well, thank you so much for sharing on that.
Whew. I need a cigarette. I need some weed. No.
Well, I think you're about to share a little bit more. Thank you for, as always, we do Vulnerable Voices every week. We're going to get into a couple more hot sex topics, including our thirst trap, and we want you to weigh in on thirst trap. But before we get to that, I wanted to talk about a friend of mine. You know, we asked people to DM us on our Instagram at TAGSPodcast on questions about sex. We'll give you solicited sex advice or relationship advice. And I had one that I wanted to weigh in. It's a friend of mine, not naming names, but a friend of mine has been in a 3-month relationship recently during COVID with another guy. And he's finding that he can't pinpoint it, but he's not feeling that spark anymore. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the guy, he told me.
Okay. That's usually
There's,
when it's really,
you know,
when it's really,
they
you're
have
like, there's
great,
nothing wrong with him, but
they cook together. He did say that sex was maybe not as interesting as it was from the get-go. He really does like this guy, though. He would, in a perfect world, he would love to transition to hanging out with this guy because he actually likes this guy.
So good on paper.
So good on paper, but he spent 3 months with this, and he, for the life of him, is perplexed and doesn't know how to. We're like, and he says, and I cannot do it on a text because they spend like a lot of time together. He would have to do it in person, but he said, how do you not sound so cliche and tell somebody after 3 months, this is his words,
Okay.
like,
Yes.
I just want to be friends without traumatizing them. And I said, you know what? It's better you just do it now because
rip the Band-Aid off, dude.
he's probably a bigger boy than you give him credit for. Yes, no one wants to hear that. But the longer you keep this going, and why not say the friend thing? Maybe you'll be friends down the road. Maybe you won't. But if it's weighing on your shoulders, what's your thoughts, Kodi? And I know you have something to announce after it too.
I have an announcement. Everybody gather in. No.
Gather in. Kodi's got a major announcement.
Oh my goodness, Steve.
Related to this story.
No, I agree with you. It's going to be easier now to say it. And he should just be honest. He should tell it to that guy just like he told it to you. It's just that simple. That
Tell it to my heart.
Tell me I'm the only one.
Name that artist.
Right. Me? Taylor Dane? Come on now. Is this really love or just
that cheesed out crimped hair?
It's a game. It's a game. But yeah, Taylor Dane. Well, wait, I lost track.
He should just tell the guy.
Yes, he should just tell him that, just be honest with him, that he's not interested in him in a romantic way. If the guy doesn't want to be friends, then he doesn't want to be friends. But hopefully, like you said, he'll come around later on. Rip the Band-Aid off. You don't want to shortchange yourself by trying to make something work that doesn't work. That's not doing a service to you. That's not doing a service to this gentleman either. So,
hey, you know what, Kodi? It reminds me, you're a life coach, by the way.
Oh, yes, I am.
You can follow him at KMD Coaching. He's a life coach. When I had a life coach for a while
Uh-huh.
there, one of the things, I don't know if you know, you probably do, but
Mhm.
to prioritize things of your day, it was eat that frog. So
Oh, I
this
don't know
so
this.
my life coach at the time said, put all the things you need to do in that day, give them a one as high priority through and lower the number into least priority. And you started your day with the high priority items, the things you didn't want to normally do that you would maybe put on the back burner normally. And it was called Eat That Frog. And it was like, eat the thing that you don't really want to do first.
Aha, I get it.
So
Do the most strenuous activity first, which I agree with,
the
because
thing
get
that
it out
is
of the way.
cringeworthy, the thing that
Yeah.
is giving you strife. In other words, if one of the things is on your list, like laundry, and another one is grocery shopping, and email your boss the plans, and break up with your boyfriend. Well, maybe put the boss
That's a
number
that list.
one, because you got to make a living and that's going to keep sustain you. Maybe put the
Exactly.
boyfriend number two, because that's weighing heavily on you as number two.
Yes.
Three would be grocery shopping, and four would be because you
No,
got to
laundry
eat.
is number 3. Laundry
Yeah,
is number
all right,
3.
you're right. You got to look cute, and we could skip a meal, because we can skip a meal. But
Mm,
so yeah,
okay, because we gotta look
prior
cute for the summer.
But so your advice is to just do it. Yeah, mine is too. And
Yeah,
it's never, listen, we give these things, particularly in a pandemic, a try. It's oftentimes it takes a few months to see how you're going to relate to this person, but
exactly.
nothing's forever. Nothing's like, and in the end,
Oh, don't say
he'll,
that.
well, some things are. I know. Do we have a song for that?
Nothing lasts forever by Maroon 5.
Oh,
I
here
I
we
have a song for
go.
everything, darling.
And I was going to
um,
sing A Whole New World, but I won't. I'll spare everybody.
oh, yeah. From Aladdin, I love it. Come on now. We can do all Disney tunes from now on.
Okay, all
But
right.
but like you were saying, when you know it's right, it's right. So I do have an announcement to make. I know that something is right, and I got a boyfriend. I got a boyfriend. uh,
Congratulations, Kodi.
yeah, it's been 3 months too. A bit 3.5 months.
For those of you who've been listening to the show, as Kodi just said, he's documented here and there, give us a little insight as I've digged deeper on how much he would share the boy that he has been seeing, that you met actually in a
During the
pandemic.
pandemic, I know, so scary, but it was
Well,
well
okay,
worth
so
it.
here, congratulations, truly. I mean that as
Thank
your
you, boo. Thank
brother,
you
as your
so much.
BFF. Yeah, I'm so happy for
Yes.
you. Can't wait to meet him.
Yeah,
And yeah,
we're doing brunch soon.
absolutely. But interesting to parallel after this story, 3 months, this person is realizing not really feeling anymore. What was different about yours in the 3 month mark that made you decide still feeling it and still want to take it deeper? Not in a vulnerable voices deeper, but in a deeper.
I love you, Steve. I love you. So basically kind of the turning point for me when I knew that it was more than it was getting pretty substantial and serious was when I could be around him for a prolonged period of time. And we spent like 7 days straight together. And I didn't get tired of him I want to see him right now, actually.
Because we've traveled
So
together and I've been like,
yeah.
okay, Kodi, like you go
Girl,
lie
get away from
out.
me. Girl. So true. I'm going to go to
Wow.
my room. You can go to your room. And
Mhm. I'm going to the bar and yeah.
but yeah, I could totally just have him right here,
Was
give him a
there
little kiss
a
right now, and yeah, it
did
would be
you
totally
ask
fine.
him? Was it mutual? What can you
He
share?
asked me. He asked me. Yeah.
Well, I love that.
I
We always have to be
know.
asked, you and I.
And I said, "Where's the diamond?" But
Child, he said boyfriend. You're going steady. It's not put a ring on it.
Hello, I still need a diamond.
We're still in a pandemic.
Okay, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Okay.
I love that. I love that. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I guess the moral of this story is 3 months is a good time to get to know somebody. And if it's not really
Yeah.
working, don't be afraid to speak up. And you never know. I mean, like I said, I dated my neighbor during the pandemic, during the summer. It didn't work out in the end. We
Mhm.
didn't talk for a few months, but ultimately, we are really great friends. In fact, we're going to go on a trip together, and I'm so excited about it. We're probably closer than
Ooh.
ever. Yeah.
Where are we going?
Oh, I can't tell everything, but but
I'll talk
you
to you offline. I'll talk to you offline.
yes. Listen, get a little uncomfortable. When you get uncomfortable, that means you got to make some choices sometimes and pivot. It's never easy, but pat yourself on the back for taking a chance on something. And if you're lucky, it might end up like Kodi. And if you're not, it's okay. You
It's
pat
okay.
yourself on the back because you took a risk, you took a chance, you took a leap of faith, you got a little uncomfortable.
Trust me, I kissed a lot of frogs before I met this guy. I did more than kiss them.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, silence. I've heard enough of this.
Okay,
Well,
Tyler.
I have a feeling I'm going to be hearing a lot more of this.
Oh my gosh, you will never get enough of this because I'm going to be telling you every 5 minutes that I got a boyfriend. I got
Silence. It's time to move on to our favorite segment. I put it
Oh,
in.
I was just about to do that.
Honey,
Oh,
you're in
look at
La La
us.
Land. So,
I mean, I was feeling the endorphins right there. So cool.
it's time for our Thirst Trap Week favorite, our favorite site that does this straight up gay porn, where we descriptively describe for you who took the best photo or video. And I love straight up gay porn for doing this every week. And it's one of our favorite segments. You can weigh in as well if you're watching this live, or I will put it in TAGSPodcast.com and you can weigh in and let me know who is your favorite thirst trap. Mind you, this has got me to subscribe to many an OnlyFans, and I've got to
So
watch
it's
myself on
dangerous.
this. So to start with, I love the first picture on this week's was 11 gay porn stars who took the best photo or video thirst trap, and the first one happened to be a guy that Hector Vega.
Oh, didn't you vote for him last week?
I did, and I joined his OnlyFans
Oh,
too.
he's looking good. He is
His
looking good.
ass is out and about, but it's not my favorite one.
Oh yeah.
I had
You have a
such.
new favorite? You're moving on already?
I'm
Has
moving
it been 3
on
months yet?
up. This was a toughie, but I landed on, and let me see if I can say his name right. She Calla. Oh my god, help me out, Kodi.
Okay, girl. How far down is it?
It's SHH Callow. She Callow. Callow. It's like his name. Well, you find it. He is laying back on a couch with the most.
Allow.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God, you just did that beautifully.
Thank you,
Callow.
John. He's
He
sexy.
is laying back on a couch with his left arm over his head with a backward baseball cap, a perfectly trimmed goatee, square jaw, Latino, I believe,
Mhm.
dimples for
I believe
days.
it. Tattoos.
confidently smiling in the most beautiful teeth ever, welcoming it. To me,
I
you got to
agree.
be welcoming and not douchey. He's welcoming, and then you get his beautiful, long, thick cock that's straight up, and his beautiful quads and hamstrings spread open, so you can take your pick on where you want to start. I would kiss him to begin with. I went
Uh-oh.
on his Twitter account, and remember when we posted on the Beauty and the Beast thing?
Oh, he did one of those?
Yes, and it's amazing. But he called his dick and dimples the face and the
Ah.
schlong. And oh my God, he looks so beautiful on this. I'll post this link on TAGSPodcast.com. But he is my winner of the week on this one.
Nice.
Who's yours?
That was a good one, but mine is a little bit better.
And you have a boyfriend, so
oh my gosh. He can't listen to this. Baby, turn off the podcast right now.
from
So
here on
my
out, he gets obviously your boyfriend gets the best of everything. But if
he's
there was
number
a
one.
below that, it would
This
be
guy's number two, I guess. Okay, all right. So my favorite of the week on this page goes to Rhino Triple X. I think he's pretty close to the one that is your favorite. Oh,
I cannot get my eyes off of mine, Calla. I just can't. But all right, let me move it. What's his name?
Rhino Triple X, which is the craziest name I've ever heard in my entire life. But he's freaking adorable. He's taking a mirror selfie, and he has his face turned towards the mirror, but his ass is also turned toward the mirror, and he's snapping a selfie, and he has the most adorable smirk on his mouth, on his face. He's got the most adorable smirk.
Oh wait, I know what you're talking about. Rhino XXS.
Yes.
Yeah, that booty's like
that booty is like pow. Okay.
The eyebrows. and he's giving a look like pow.
And he also has his closet door open, which I know he should have closed it. I know he should have closed it before he took the picture, but I can forgive him for that ass. Trust me.
But you know what I like about the closet moment is I've never been able to
even do it.
Every T-shirt he owns is hung up, perfectly lined up. It looks color coordinated. I've never been able to do that.
Floor.
Okay, yeah, he could have. Right.
Yeah, he should have closed that door. But he's adorable.
His expression is, though, I don't give a fuck. So
he does not. He's he made it up for it. That ass is making up for it.
There's so many others. There's one that Delusion 666 that has like the thickest cock ever that I would love to get pounded by. Just saying. And hopefully he's out there to hear me say that.
What about Angel Rivera?
Did you see him? Or let me check Angel Rivera.
Did I do him?
Oh, I didn't press play. Remember we did that. Oh my goodness! Was everybody like hung and like crazy this week?
I love it. I'm here for it. I stand.
Before we go, what do the people have to say, if anything?
Just that they love the guy that you're talking about. He's got a backwards baseball cap, and it's making it even more.
So I won this week's.
I don't think so. More people agree with mine. He said, "Oh, I Dream of Anthony says that the picture of the guy that I liked makes him want to do some squats." And he also is laughing at me because I clocked the closet.
I love it. Oh my God. Thanks for playing. This will be up on TAGSPodcast.com. We want you to weigh in. Go to TAGSPodcast.com. Follow us at Tags Podcast. Note to self, tomorrow night, our clubhouse is live from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 9 to 11 Eastern Standard Time. And it's sex positivity, LGBTQ plus. I'll put this up on Tags Podcast. If you're on Clubhouse, join us. We're really getting into some really great conversations over there. It's a really awesome. You can just pop in whenever you want to. It's very casual. I love that about it. If you want to chime in, chime in. So tomorrow night, join us, Clubhouse. And lastly, we won't be on, we're taking a week off of Tags Live, just 1 week, April 28th, we're off. But we're back the following week when I'm back in New York. So just calendar that. Follow Kodi Maurice Doggette at Mista Maurice, Mistah Maurice on Instagram, and his life coaching at KMD Coaching, also on Instagram. Thanks so much, guys. This has been so fun. As always, this show gets repackaged tomorrow and Tags Podcast. Like I said, it's episode 259, making our way. Keep being safe, keep wearing your mask, get vaccinated, but keep it sexy. And we will see you and talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.